Hello, everyone. Welcome to NPC's Economics. Today, let's talk about happiness and life satisfaction. What is happiness? Is it life satisfaction or is it general well being? In the United States and many other developed countries, it is often equated with money, and the wealth of a country is often equated with the gross domestic product or GDP. Economists measure consumers' confidence on the assumption that the resulting figure says something about progress and public welfare. In the same vein, economists often use GDP as a proxy for the well being of a nation. But have economists been approaching the subject of happiness wrong? In a recent National Bureau of Economic Research working paper from last month, December 2023, the authors, David Blanchflower and Alex Bryson, used microdata from the Eurobarometer survey from 1973 to 2023, the Gallup World Polls for Europe from 2005 to 2023, and the European Commission's monthly business and consumer surveys from 1985 to 2023 to look at the relationship between economic growth and well-being in Western and Eastern European countries. They find that expectations on employment, personal, financial, life, and economic situation are more sensitive to economic growth than traditional well-being metrics. Specifically, and perhaps the most important takeaway of this study is that they find that annual GDP growth is uncorrelated with life satisfaction in the European countries examined, both before and after controlling for inflation and unemployment rate. They do, however, find that unemployment rate is negatively correlated with life satisfaction. This trend holds for all periods from 1991 to 2023 examined, with very strong t-statistics. On the other hand, over time, with growing GDP, developing countries have seen a dramatic rise in their levels of well-being, especially for those with lower life satisfaction scores in 2005. In addition, when measuring the significance of GDP growth on the 10 well-being metrics, Cantrell, life in 5 years, pain, worry, stress, anger, sadness, enjoyment, well rested, and smile, GDP growth is only significant for sadness where it is negative. These 10 well being metrics are more responsive to CPI and unemployment rate than to GDP growth. Overall, among European countries, richer countries have higher levels of well being than poorer countries. There is also evidence that happiness in more egalitarian countries, like the Nordic countries. However, sustained economic growth translates into increased well being in the ex Soviet countries in Eastern Europe that joined the European Union. Economic growth also positively impacts well being in Latin America. Basically, rising GDP and rising well being go together in the developing world, but not so much in the developed world. This is especially true for the United States, where there is evidence from the General Social Survey that has been running since 1973 that three-step happiness has been broadly flat. Well, although it did tick up recently, well-being has declined in the US among the least educated, which is the main finding of Blanchflower and Oswald's study from 2004, and especially the prime-age non-graduates, which is the main finding of another of Blanchflower and Oswald's study from 2015, who were notably susceptible to deaths of despair. See Case and Deaton's study from 2020, which examines the steady erosion of US working class life. Actually, the Blanchflower and Bryson 2023 paper discusses more than just the relationship, or the lack thereof, between GDP growth and life satisfaction as well as well being. It also shows that GDP growth is positively correlated to expectations on an individual's life and their financial and job situations, as well as their views on the economic and employment situation of their country 12 months ahead. But that's for another video. But nevertheless, perhaps it is no surprising that well being is not connected with GDP growth. Well being often means that people are content, they have enough, they don't need to buy, they're happy without consuming. But in the hyper individualistic North American society, especially in the United States, where people are constantly bombarded with advertisements to buy, consumption is the mantra. You need to consume more. Spending money to consume more is often conflated with happiness and well being. We are told to chase the next shiniest smartphone or that bigger house than the one we live in. There is never enough. There are always bigger and better possessions to chase after. And those who do subscribe to the propaganda that consumption equals happiness and well being, well, what do? They work harder and harder in the wage cages to buy all that stuff they probably don't need, to impress people they probably don't even like, all the while convincing themselves that this is the way of life. Ironically, that might just be the recipe for misery. Bryson, one of the authors, did another study with George McCarran titled, Are You Happy While You Work? In this older study from 2016, Bryson and McCarran found that across all ordinary least square with fixed effect models, engaging in paid work is associated with lower momentary happiness. Comparing across 40 activities, paid work came in as second to dead last, decreasing happiness by 5.43 points. Being sick in bed is the only activity that weighted down happiness more than engaging in paid work. Some people postulate that the quest for more and more means people are never satisfied. They are never content with what they already have and thus are unhappy. Some people hypothesize that in less developed countries, people are not always on the go to work more and make more money or feel the pressure to always be productive somehow, especially compared to the United States. Some suggest that perhaps people from underdeveloped countries don't know what they're missing in terms of creature comforts that are considered basic in developed countries, and that they are content with what comparative little they have. And any small economic gains represent huge wins for them. That's it for this week. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I'll see you next time. Bye.